Hello and welcome back to Harlan is in Danger. I am your host Tom, and tonight I am joined by my good friend and co-host Mitch.
Hello, I'm also here, and we are not recording this back to back with last week's episode.
You're gonna bring it up. You're gonna bring up the hats.
Very different. No, this is just a theme.
I did so much. I adjusted my laptop screen so the angle's slightly different, and you're just throwing it all away.
Well, I changed it too because my light is different.
Yeah. So we could have been recording at a different time. No one would have been wiser. Anyway, okay.
All right, this is our final Mythos Packize episode for the Scarlet Keys. Let's jump right in.
All right. So we're going to start with Guardian cards, and we only have 2 Guardian cards in the final pack. We have Girish Kadakia, who is a 4-cost ally asset, and we have Ever Vigilant, which is a 4-cost tactic event. Let's start with Girish. All right, so Girish, as I said, is a 4-cost level 4 ally police asset, and he may be assigned to damage and or horror dealt to other investigators at your location. As a lightning bolt during a skill test being performed by an investigator at your location, you can exhaust Girish Kadakia. That investigator gets +2 skill value for this test. If this test is successful, you can heal 1 damage or 1 horror from Girish Kadakia, and he soaks for 3 and 3.
He's pretty strong.
He's a powerful guy.
You get what you pay for with this one.
Yeah, like expensive, but ooh boy, I am very happy with almost all the words on this card. I think the only word I'm not super happy with is the number 4, which is not a word. And I kind of expected at this point in Guardian. They like to cost things.
I'm actually okay with him being so expensive because I feel like he's so strong. I played him in a Carson deck, and I played the whole scenario without him, and I was at the point of death for the whole scenario. And then he showed up for like the last 4 turns or whatever, and it was like I was untouchable. It like literally swung the game completely onto the other direction. I was like, wow, sheesh. Like, because he gives you the skill boost, he heals himself, he soaks for a massive amount of damage, so yeah, he's just really, really good. And then he protects other investigators by soaking for them. So he's awesome.
That's always like fun text to see on a Guardian ally. Is just like, hey, or Guardian card actually in general is just you can also take damage and horror for your friends, because moving around damage and horror is good. It turns out, especially if you're like the investigator that's like packing healing or packing survival tools. Like this is it's a neat card. Another neat card is Ever Vigilant level 4, which just has some good text on it too. 1 at a time, investigators at your location as a group may play up to 4 assets in total from their hands, reducing the cost of each by 1.
That's awesome.
What a good card.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Really cool effect there. Just being able to share out the wealth with your teammates, be like, all right, everybody gear up, and then everyone gets to drop down an asset on the cheap.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I love that in a 4-player game, everyone can put something out for cheap. That's cool. I love that if you're a really setup heavy Guardian that's not running geared up for some reason, you can just plop down 4 things if you have the money for it.
Geared up sucks.
I love geared up. You take that Slender back. It's probably my most played card at this point, honestly.
Really? Wow.
I play a lot of Guardians, and I like putting... This is why I like handcuffs and stuff in the video before this. It was just like, this is great, because it's an item asset that doesn't take up any slots. I love those. But this is about Ever Vigilant, which is a more expensive version of Geared Up for everyone. At any time, that doesn't take away all your actions. Which turns out is very good. Yeah.
Even if you just played it on yourself, saves you 4 resources and you get to play 4 assets for 1 action. That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's really good.
That's really good. It's like you have to have the
money. And you have a lot of assets you want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have a little bit of a surplus, but not, that's what you can create a balance and get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, just a good card. I think goes up in value if you're playing in a like a larger group of people, but it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good in like one or two players.
Yeah, for sure. So Guardians definitely won with this pack for sure. These are great
Yeah.
cards.
Yep.
Yay, Guardians.
Yay, Guardians, you got one. All right, let's talk about some Seeker cards. I'm gonna let you read these ones.
Yeah. So this is Dr. William T. Mallison, Fingerprint Kit, and Grey's Anatomy. So starting off with Mallison, he's a 1 cost, 2 XP ally and Miskatonic traded ally, and he has the text, as a reaction, when any investigator draws an encounter card from the encounter deck, you exhaust Dr. William T. Mallison and place one of your clues in your location. That investigator draws another card from the top of the encounter deck and chooses one of the 2 cards to resolve and cancels and discards the other. And he soaks for 2 and 2. I think this is pretty strong. I mean, you get the choice of your encounter card. That's really good.
I totally forgot that it was when when any investigator draws an encounter card from the deck. Doesn't have to be at your location.
Jeez.
It's just like, yeah, I forgot about that text. This is such a good card.
I mean, it's still most important for your Seeker because you're trying to make sure they don't draw enemies, right? And so you just are able to cancel and discard an enemy, assuming you don't draw 2. But I mean, that's pretty bad odds to draw 2
Yeah.
enemies.
Yeah.
And then even if you did, you could just pick the better of the 2 enemies. And then in the future, you would have less enemies, I would think, because
you're discarding them too.
them. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I don't have a ton to say about this. I mean, like this is the last pack of the cycle, right? We wanted to put the big good cards in the last pack, so you had to work for them.
That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I like that he still drops the clue because I think that's a really nice way to balance the effect
Mm-hmm.
because like now you've got to work to get that clue back, which yeah, picking up a clue is generally not too bad as a Seeker, but if you're on a really obnoxious location, like where like if it's haunted, if it has a very high shroud, if there's already a problem on that location that for whatever reason you weren't able to counter last turn, then you've got to deal with that still. So it doesn't solve all of your problems, but it's a good way to make it cost something as opposed to just cards and resources.
Yeah.
So I like leveraging the clue. I think that's interesting. I think it retains the spirit of what his original version did, his level 0 version. So yeah. Good card. I like that upgrade. Okay, Fingerprint Kit, level 4. This is a 5-cost hand slot item. It's an item and a tool. Uses 3 supplies. As an action, you can exhaust Fingerprint Kit and spend a supply. You investigate. You get +2 intellect for this investigation. If you succeed, you discover 2 additional clues at your location. This is a 3 or 4 player only card.
Yeah, this is basically just Rite of Seeking but yellow, and I'm mad at it about that because there's no downside.
Oh, you're right. Isn't Rite of Seeking also 5 resources?
Also 5 resources, also level 4. Also gives you, I think it gives you +2 skill value and gives you +2 clues if you succeed. But if you draw a bad token, you lose all your actions. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
You're right. It is just Rite of Seeking, level 5. I hate this card now. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. It shouldn't be just Rite of Seeking, but better. That's lame.
Yeah. The mystic in me is very hurt by this card's existence. The person who likes playing Joe Diamond is like, ooh. But
I don't think it would have been horrible if it costed 6 resources, honestly.
I think it still would have been pretty good. Yep. You're still going to get, like, twice that many clues. No. 150%.
I know that's only one more resource, but every resource you go above, like, 3 is, like, a lot more work to get to.
Yeah.
So I think bumping it up to 6 would have been fair. Because base version of Fingerprint Kit is just 4 resources, I think. So it gets 1. I think going up 2 would have been good. Because I mean, I guess there's like probably another way to balance it, but I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, I think the thing that I dislike about it the most is like this feels like the fairest cost for the effect within Seeker, but it is just Rite of Seeking with no downside. Which is like, okay, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. Seekers are supposed to be the ones to get clues, I guess. We have to give Mystics
Yeah,
downsides, but and like Mystics do have things like Eldritch Inspiration. Is that the card that lets you cancel the effect? But that's not really.
yeah, that's like a whole nother card you gotta
Yeah,
pay for.
I don't know. I'm
I
not. I'm not
I
too
don't
salty
think.
about it, but I do have to point it out that hey, Seekers, maybe this should have costed like 2 actions or something. I don't know. That would have been good
So
though.
I'm
That
of
would
the
have been
belief.
bad.
I'm of the belief that the cards shouldn't ever be better for a particular class.
Hmm.
They should just be like more available, I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like by playing Seeker, you end up invariably with more cards that do clue discovering effects and other effects that help you get to getting clues. It's not that Seekers have cards that do the same thing but better than other classes. It's just that they have more of them that are concerned or interested with the idea of gaining clues. And so their cards like support that.
Yeah.
So for example, like when we talk about like charges for mystics, it's like they should have cards that let them get more charges because that's something that they do.
And they do
So it's
have
not
that.
that
Yeah.
like they do a little bit, but same with like seekers, like getting more secrets and stuff. It's like, yeah, like this is like part of what they do. I mean, this is supplies, so it's a venture pick. But yeah, I mean, I think if it was secrets, it would be really broken. But
Yeah. That's yeah. So
yeah,
because supplies and then emergency cash 3 are the only things that or venture and emergency cash 3 are the only ones that can contraband. Yeah.
contraband. Yeah, I think just those three.
And those are
Yeah,
spread
I
out
mean, I
pretty.
don't.
Those are pretty consistently spread out. Like it's not like it's a lot easier
Yeah,
to get charges in Mystic. You can literally just run Enraptured or
yeah,
Winds of Power. Is that the word?
winds of
Or
power. Yeah,
Recharge if you're feeling
recharge.
sassy and
Roasty.
already
Yeah,
running and already running Eldritch Initiation just in case you draw that bad token or Inspiration, whatever.
right.
The one that the one I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the one where they're like, ah,
Yeah, yeah, that
terrifying
exactly.
face.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not the one that's in this pack where they're like that. The other one where they're like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I love how like to anyone who doesn't know Arkham Horror, the card game would just be like, "What is this
What are we
conversation
talking
about?"
about? I'll point it out. It's on the next slide. We'll get to it. Not that one.
Okay.
Not the one we're actually talking about. The other one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that there's too much more to say about it. I will say in its favor, I appreciate that it's simplistic. I don't want to like add text to the card to make it like
Yeah.
different and unique. Not everything needs to be a special snowflake card. Some cards just being straight and narrow functional is a good thing. I just feel like it's too cheap. I just feel like it should be like 5 XP or 6 resources or both, something like that.
Yeah. I agree.
Grey's Anatomy?
Grey's Anatomy. What is it?
Okay, so this is a 5 experience, 3 resource hand slot item and tome asset. And as an action, you can choose a card at your location and test intellect 1. For each point you succeed by, you choose 1. The next time that card would be healed this round, heal +1 damage or horror to maximum of +3. Or the next time that card would be dealt damage this round, deal +1 damage to maximum of +3.
I like this
This
card.
sounds like a very fun support card. I like
I
it.
like this a lot. Yeah, this is kind of like what I want from Seeker support. Is just
Yeah.
like you are throwing actions at a thing to get a powerful effect. Like
Yeah.
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is neat.
Yeah, it's rad. It's different. It's not something anyone else is doing, so
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. I'm
Is
trying
that
to
it?
think of I'm
I
trying
guess
to think
that's
of more to say about it. But I mean, like I guess it's good with like there's some like cards that come in like the next cycle that like care about like how much you succeed by or succeeding by an exact amount that you could use not for
Are you
their
talking about Feast of Hemlock?
in Feast of Hemlock. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure what you meant by next cycle.
Sorry,
If you meant
sorry,
next
sorry,
cycle
sorry.
in
Yeah,
release
yeah.
order or our. Okay, okay.
In release order, yeah. Like so, I'm thinking like Steady Handed or Lab Coat. I don't know if Lab Coat does work. Actually, Lab Coat's in this cycle.
Okay.
But cards,
Yeah.
cards that care about tests on yellow cards, and
Yep.
give you some modification to that test.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
And I like
cool-
that you can use it in 2 ways. You could just lean in one direction, but I feel like it would work for both. Honestly.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I also like that you can fail the test or succeed by 0, and it does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think
That's
Seeker
cool,
needs
too.
more of those effects. Like,
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to like horribly miss what they're trying to accomplish, I think
Not
should
necessarily
totally be a
even
thing.
horribly miss. Like, just miss. Like, Seekers don't miss enough. Or,
I
like,
mean, like they're studying so hard, but like it's like failing your exam, right?
yeah, I
Whereas,
like
yeah,
that. I like this thing that they're doing with secret cards having tests on them. I think that's a really cool
me, yeah,
effect. Yeah,
same, yeah,
that's
yeah. I
that's
want
all I had to
more
say.
like test on your own cards, fiddle with your own
Yeah,
things,
yeah. It
and
feels like you're
yeah,
like going down. And you're just like, I am the seeker. I look at my player area only,
yeah,
and then that's kind of cool. I don't know. I like that. I like that kind of like self-involved seeker. That's just like, huh, what's going on? Oh, there's a big boss.
yeah, yeah.
I don't have any way to deal with that. I'm gonna go back to
The
moving.
absent-minded professor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm gonna go back to moving tokens around
uh-huh.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's rad. Good card. So Seekers made out pretty well with this final pack, and
Yeah.
I think we placed. Why do you say so ourselves? I think we placed them appropriately. I like fingerprint being in the last slot here because then it's like it's sort of a mundane upgrade, but it's powerful. So you
Yeah.
mix it with two other cards that are really cool. You
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's talk
All right.
about the Mystic cards. A little
All
slow.
right.
All right. So for Mystic cards, we have Astral Mirror, Uncage the Soul level 3, and Sin Eater. Ooh, spooky. Um, Astral Mirror is a level 2, 3 cost ritual asset that takes up the body slot. Wow. And it has the text for each of your arcane slots that are empty, you have one additional hand slot. Already liking this. You may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to play an asset into one of your hand slots. I think this is such a fun card.
Agreed. It is fun. I think it's interesting. I think if it didn't have that second text, I would write it off as complete trash, though, because it's like, why don't you replace your spells with more inefficient cards? Like, what? But because it says you get an extra action to play into
Yeah.
these new slots that you have, I mean, if you can get this down turn one, you can get four bonus actions. That's pretty reasonable. I
Yeah.
mean, sure, like it could be more, but I mean, maybe it ends up being more, and maybe you end up discarding something. Like, there's the grotesque statue, which just cards itself, so you're gonna play something new over that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or you're
I could
playing
see
with like
there,
Doom assets and you want to discard those for
right,
like sacrifices or I don't know, just
right,
getting rid of them on your own
right.
somehow. Like, because you can always still you
Hmm.
can still play a card to your hand slot even if your hands are full and just discard one of your items that has Doom on it
Yeah.
or has I don't know, no more charges in a hand
Hmm.
slot item. I don't know what that is exactly, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
flashlights.
I think I feel like this card, yeah. I feel like this card suffers a little bit from the fence situation though, where it's like, ooh, I helped you out to do something, but if you don't see me early, then I'm basically useless to you. And you've built a deck that's dependent on something that's not in play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little concerned about that for it, but otherwise I think it's interesting.
I think extra actions are kind of hard to get in Mystic, and that
They are
makes me
very.
kind of excited for this card in general. I haven't played with it, to be totally fair.
Hmm.
I play a lot of Amina, but I've never played with this card in Amina because my way of dealing with Doom in Amina is playing cards over my Doomed cards. But I think this would be
Okay,
cool in someone like I also would like really love to play this in like Daisy because then you get an extra action to play a book and an extra action to use that book, which is like
that'd be
the
cool.
first time I've been interested in playing Daisy since well we started this channel I guess honestly. um, yeah, no, I think this is
Yeah.
an exciting card that like kind of gets your brain working a little bit and you're like, how can I make this do the things? How can like it's just the right amount of like maybe undertuned where your brain's like, I bet there's a way I can crack this, you know? I bet I can
Yeah,
get this
yeah,
really good. Yeah. And I love those cards. Those are
yeah.
really fun cards.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, if I had to nitpick, I would say it's a little expensive. Maybe two resources is enough because it gives you actions to play more cards,
It's
assets in particular, and assets are typically
it's
expensive.
just
So,
assuming you're playing sacrifice to get rid of some of your cards.
yeah, or Mina, I guess.
Or Amina, but
Yeah.
I don't know that. I feel like maybe that's not. I don't know if I'd take this in Amina. I haven't taken this in Amina so far. Maybe it's fine.
Hmm. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll find out at some point, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uncage the Soul is a level
Okay.
3 spirit event that has the text, you may discard a spell or ritual asset you control. Play a spell or ritual asset card from your hand or discard pile, reducing its cost by 3. That's cool. I like cards that discard cards from your play area. I don't know why, but they make me excited.
I don't like that. That I have to lose something now. I mean, unless it has Doom on it, or it's. I mean, if I had a plan, I guess this is good with like Scroll of Prophecies, which I love.
Spell or ritual.
So with Scroll of Prophecies, I could, or no, oh yeah, it is Scroll of Prophecies
Spell
because
or
you
ritual.
can. What?
Spell or ritual, though. You have to play a spell. Oh, I see. You're
No,
discarding
no,
the
no, no.
die.
I use Scroll of Prophecies to discard something from my hand that I actually want,
Got it.
and then I use the after I burn through all my Scroll of Prophecies uses to get all my tools. I use this to then play whatever I discarded back into the game for the cheap. I think that's how I would play this.
I see that. I thought you were discarding Scroll of Prophecies.
No,
Okay.
I mean I will at some point,
But not through
probably.
with the sacrifice,
But
not with this.
yeah, with sacrifice, I mean it could be because it says you may. You don't have to discard something.
That's
So
true.
if I'm out of uses, then I could discard it. But I mean I don't know why I would have to.
Sorry, I'm excited by the text. You may discard a spell or ritual asset you control.
So you have to discard.
I was excited that you were like maybe saying like, ooh, maybe you could discard a spell or ritual asset you control. Maybe this is a way to do that. No, you were not. So my thought is like immediately like you have shriveling, you ran out of charges, you play this, you discard shriveling, you play shriveling back into your empty arcane slot.
Yeah, because there's a period between them, you would discard the shriveling, and then you would have the option to actually play the shriveling from your discard pile. So that's a fun way to just recharge it. Yeah, I didn't really thought of it that way. That's really strong. I was thinking of it purely from a survivor lens, where it's just like I'm throwing things in my discard pile, and then at some point I get to bring them back. Not like in the immediacy, because essentially by doing it immediately, it's almost like you just refreshed its charges, which is awesome. But that's like I almost like hesitate to call that a survivor effect because it's like a concentrated way to just recharge everything.
I think so this is I think they've actually really hit the nail on the head with how Mystic Recursion is different from Survivor Recursion.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like
right.
It feels consistent and inconsistent in different ways. Like it really does feel like it's a different sort of game of recursion, right? And it's also mostly built around spells, so that's very not Survivor.
Right, and rituals, and there's tons of those, both of them. So yeah, it's a cool card. I mean, I want to poke at the XP cost a little bit, but I don't feel like it's.
I don't think you need to.
Too expensive. I feel like you're getting quite a bit of value here. I mean, you get three. So you get an emergency cash. You get a play action.
It's potentially
it's
recursion
limited
too.
on what you,
yeah.
Yeah, technically recursion on some level. So.
And you do play it. You do play it from the discard, so it saves you the.
That's what I mean. It's just the one action to play the card, and that's that.
I see. Yeah.
So I mean, well, compare it with like the one we looked at last week with the Survivor card, where he's like, you play something from your discard pile.
Yeah.
Salvage didn't give you a resource discount. It was either or. Either you get to play it or you get the money from it. And this is kind of like you get it and you get the discount from it. So it's actually more potent. So I feel like that is worth an extra XP.
Yeah. No, I think this one's pretty appropriately costed. I mean, you also just ignore the fact that Down the Rabbit Hole exists and you can technically get it for cheaper than Salvage. Just I'm going to hand wave that away. That means you have to play level 01, which is also a good card. Oh man, I'm not really making a good argument. Please just let Mystic have some good things. That's all I want.
Yeah, I don't want to get into Down the Rabbit Hole. I don't care about that card.
It's probably my second most played card.
I played it once, and it felt like it just made my deck building restrictive, so I don't really play it that often anymore. But maybe I'll try it again.
That's fair. All right, Sin Eater.
Sin Eater.
Okay, Sin Eater is a level 3 nil-costed ritual asset. It is permanent and exceptional, so it actually costs 6 XP to put it onto your board, not in your deck, because it's permanent. I know what I'm talking about. It has two things you can do. As a lightning bolt, you can exhaust it to move one doom from an asset you control to Sin Eater, then either ready that asset or place one charge on it. Cool. Or, as an action, you can remove all doom from Sin Eater.
Yeah, this is a cool card. I appreciate that it's permanent and I don't have to fight tooth and nail because there's so often where it's like a necessary card for a particular deck type, and then they're like, but you're gonna have to find it, and it's like, finally,
Yeah.
it can just be permanent. So I appreciate that. I like it as a kind of safety net upgrade to get if you're playing a Doom deck.
And yeah, and that's
Um,
how it feels to me. Is it? I think when I first saw this card, I was like, Psh, you don't need this. You can just run Moonlight Rituals and discard things. Like that's what you're supposed to do in Doom. And I think since actually seeing it played a little bit, I've been like, okay, this is like a way into the Doom archetype. I've been playing this way since I first started playing Arkham. And just
yeah,
realizing I have to destroy my assets. And Sin Eater says, what if you want to not destroy your assets and instead just get rid of Doom? And that's cool.
yeah. So it's welcoming to like newcomers to
Yeah.
the archetype. Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
And it's like
I
appropriately
also,
costed. I think like
yeah,
it I feel like I'd like it a little bit more if it was like level 5 and had limit 1 per deck instead of exceptional level 3. But then Marie couldn't take it and Marie would be sad.
yeah. I think Marie definitely needs
Marie
access to
kind of
this.
needs
So
it. Yeah.
I
So-
think the 6 is fine because it's a Moonlight Ritual. The upgrade is 2 XP. This is 6, so it's 4 for 2 copies of Moonlight Ritual. So
yeah.
for 2 more XP, you get in effect Moonlight Ritual on the table
Yeah.
permanently. So I
Well,
feel like that's a very fair trade-off.
yeah, sort. I mean, like, sort of. This would be replacing your Ritual level zeros, not your. I think Moonlight Ritual level 2 is a better card because it's fast and play during any player window. So you can remove the Doom at any time, and it's a lot safer. But Sin Eater does do a different thing where it's just like, hey, you can remove the Doom more consistently.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you're upgrading, I don't know that you would need to do both. You
I
could
don't think
take
so.
you would because like you said, they're kind of like they have a different purpose of whether or not you want to just do a concentrated doom a couple of times and clear it, or if you want to just slowly, consistently drip it out of the
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
So depending on which way you're going with it, you decide. And then this one costs a little more, so you have to back that into your deck building. But it is on the table round one, which is good. You don't have to wait or dig for it.
yeah.
It
It.
also has this interesting effect. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it also is if you're running like a down the rabbit hole, it actually gets that tax a little bit more, and it ends up becoming 7 XP. And that's like the point where I would just not pay for it. I would do Moonlight Rituals instead and upgrade those for cheaper, right? Like that's if you're doing something like down the rabbit hole or Arcane Research or some other jank to get experience by upgrading cards, which is a thing you do in
Sure,
Mystic. This is not the card
sure,
for you. Do the Moonlight Rituals instead.
sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. I want to know like how to leverage its pre-trigger ability because it pulls a Doom off a card, but then you get to ready that card or place a charge on it. And so I'm trying to think of the scenario like my mind immediately goes to just like can I do this with shriveling? And it's like shriveling doesn't exhaust, but it does use charges. But like when am I ever going to have Doom on my shriveling? Why did that
So
happen? How did
the
that happen?
the cost is before the colon in the card, so the cost to do that effect is just exhaust Sin Eater. You do not have to move one Doom. Oh no, it is it then. Yeah, you do. Okay. Huh.
Hmm.
So when would you put a charge on it? I mean, like you could do something like
I mean,
I don't know.
obviously
That's so.
Amina,
That's yeah. I
but
guess Amina's the thing you could do it with, or like if you had the that Mystic card, Ghastly Possession, that lets you put a Doom on an asset you're testing on to um, get 2 extra
okay.
wild icons. You could do that.
But but that also just lets you put the charge on the card as well. So you could just do
Well,
that
it's
instead.
it's either Doom and a bonus, or like it's either Doom and
Right.
3 wild skill icons, or 1 wild skill icon and get a charge on it. So
Right.
if you really
But I
need
mean
the,
if you're looking for more charges,
yeah. Look, I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure when you'd use the
like I'm
charges.
trying.
The only thing I can really think of is like if you did it with like Divermis Mysterious or something, but that doesn't use charges. Or, um, yeah, that's just
The Abyssal Tome, I think.
it's not.
Is
I
that
think
does that
it
work?
just readies, right? Like Divermis Mysterious and Abyssal Tome just exhaust, right? I mean, that's still good, but yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
I've just come around to it and stopped being a grumpy old man who's like, we have Moonlight Rituals, we don't need this. So I haven't played with it at all.
This it does encourage me to play Doom decks, knowing that I can purchase this card because Doom decks are just I don't know. I feel like the things they provide as a bonus don't feel tempting enough. They're often just like you can get +3 skill value, and I'm like, I could have spent 2 resources as a rogue to get that. You mean I have to spend a Doom and with like no way to get rid of it? And like having this on the table is like, okay, I could just sneak that off of there. I mean, it's great for Blood Pack for like the clearing Doom makes perfect sense. I can't find the card that wants to like needs to pop up. I mean, apart from like the charms they put in this pack, like the ceremonial sickle, like I
Yeah.
mean, you could use it for that. You pull the Doom off of it, and then you ready it, and then you can attack again, putting the Doom back on and doing the +2 damage once more. So like, okay, there's something there, but it just doesn't. It feels like a card that fits with the rest of the cycle, but it just had no interest of other cards outside of the cycle, unless it had to do with. I mean, even the Doom. Like, how did they end up with Doom on them? I don't know. I mean, you can use this on Baron Samedi, I guess, with Marie. That's pretty good,
You
right?
can use
You
this
could
on
pull the
Arcane
Doom off them.
Initiate, actually. That's kind of cool.
Okay,
Search
you
with
pull
Arcane
up, but
Initiate, pull the
oh
Doom
yeah, search
off, and
twice.
then search
Okay,
again. Yeah, you can do it exactly once, but it's still kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something. Maybe I have to just build a deck that's the Scene Eater deck that just defines every single card that could feasibly like get a benefit and actually interact with this. See what that's like.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's like I want to build a deck with it, but I don't know when I'm going to do that because I also just think Moonlight Ritual is fine. So
Yeah,
I want to play with it because I like that it does open up my deck slots, so I don't have to run Moonlight Ritual. It's like that awkward like
that's nice.
it's that awkward moment of like, well, wait, but how do I do that? How do I get
hmm
6 XP in a Doom deck without playing Doom
hmm
cards until I get Sin Eater? That's I don't know. Like you kind of feel like
Yeah,
it does feel like you have to pivot, and I think that's still like the thing that I'm like I haven't figured that part out
yeah.
because
Mm.
6 XP. Like if it was 5, I could just take it straight up in Mateo and just be like, I'm playing Doomed Mateo. Here we go.
I don't know why you would, but yeah.
It would be fun. I don't know. He's got insight access to some blessed insights, maybe? You could do a Divermis Mysterious Mateo deck. I don't know if this is a good plan.
I'm not even convinced Blessed Mateo is a good plan, so yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Anyway, yeah.
Huh.
I'm interested. I'm glad we're doing this recording now instead
Agreed.
of when we started recording these videos because I was so grumpy at Sin Eater's existence, and now I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
you're allowed in my heart. It's okay. I can love again.
I can love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fun Card fills a nice niche. I like that it's just take an action to remove all the doom. No, when you draw a special token, no like discard things or no cost this, cost that. Seems like every time a Mystic wants to do something, it's like pay up, pay up, pay up.
Which
And it's nice
is,
that this is a card that doesn't ask that. It's
I,
just like you
yeah.
spent the 6 XP, you just have it. You have it all the time. You can do it
I
whenever you
guess
want.
it's nice for people that don't like being punished, but whatever.
Yeah. This is more of a me card, I'm sensing.
Yeah, it's all right. Let's talk about some Survivor cards. Speaking of new
Let's do it.
cards,
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have End of the Road and Fickle Fortune. So End of the Road is a zero-cost event. It is insight and spirit traded, and it has the text fast to play during your turn only if the final agenda is in play. Draw 1 card, gain 1 resource, and gain 1 additional action. Remove End of the Road from the game.
I think this is a cool card. Honestly, I'm kind of excited that this exists. I like the idea of using what agenda it is and whether it's the final agenda as a mechanic for a card.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Agreed.
I like that this has no skill icons, so if you draw it early, you're just like, well, shucks. I guess I can't do anything.
That's what I don't like about it. Is that
I
it's
really
useless
like it. I
until the
really
end.
like that. I like that it's useless until the end. It feels like it putting this in your deck. It's like it's a very like action positive, resource positive, card positive card. That the cost
Mm-hmm.
is that it only happens. Like it feel like it's gonna make the narrative of your scenario go a lot more interestingly. Like you're not gonna be like sweet
Mm-hmm.
crushing it first agenda play end of the road and we're
Yeah.
already positive on actions and stuff like that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
all right, well now I have a dud card in my hand that I kind of want to hold until the end of end of the game, and I'm gonna play a little bit worse
That is
probably
funny.
because of it. And then like it like I know Arkham Horror is a hard game, and we don't need to punish ourselves. We can play optimal
Yeah.
decks and still lose. But I feel like this makes a more interesting game when you're like, fuck, we're getting excuse my language, we're getting the crap kicked out of us, and then like the final agenda pops up, and you're
Yeah.
like, this is the end of the road here we go, and you get to kind of have that like
Yeah.
moment of just like, wait, are things going to be okay? And like maybe not. It's a level 0 card, but I love the narrative
Mm-hmm.
of just being like, no, I just got to push myself a little bit harder. Maybe we can make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like the effect of the card. I don't dislike the card. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I think it has a weird space that it occupies because there will be situations where it just hangs out in your hand. But then again, maybe not because I mean, as a survivor, if you're Wendy, you just or Ashcan, you just discard it for dog food or something if you don't feel like you're going to need it and you're moving fast and why save it? Just spend it in another way. Or if you're, Patrice, like it comes and goes,
Yeah.
and you don't worry about it. So there's definitely instances where I think for other investigators though, like Calvin, I feel like this would be a frustrating card because you kind of need stuff that helps you sooner rather than later. Like Calvin's all about like building up. I mean, maybe it works. Maybe what you do is because you're taking time to build up your strength as
Mm-hmm.
Calvin, so maybe you actually don't care and you just want to rush to the end. I've actually not played Calvin personally, so maybe there is something to that.
Yeah.
I feel like it encourages like an interesting like thought and like it almost feels like a psychological experiment putting this card in your deck because it's like, are you holding on to this card or are you just like, if it shows up, great. Otherwise, I'll just find a way to get rid of it and it's no big deal.
Yeah, and I like
It's
too.
more about you as a player.
I like too that like it's you can recur it, right? Like, but it does recursion in an interesting way. Like it's recursion where you're just like, I don't need this card right now. I'll get it later. And then it removes
Mm-hmm.
itself from the game. Like there's something kind of cool about that of being like, no, not right now. Maybe I'll come back to you later. Maybe I'll bring you back later because it is a good card. Like this would be a resourceful
Yeah.
target if you just hit the the final agenda and you're like, I just passed a
Oh
resourceful
yeah.
test. I can get this back. Oh man, now is the time to play this. It's a fast card that gives me a
Right.
card, a resource, and an action. That's great.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
But it's not like, you know, a broken resourceful combo because you remove it from the game after that.
Right. Yeah, I like that it removes from the game for that reason.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it should be played. I think people should try it and see if they like it or if they hate it because I feel like this is a love or hate card once you experience it.
Mm-hmm.
As for Fickle Fortune, this is one of those dilemmas. It's 3 XP. It doesn't cost anything. It's dilemma and fortune traded. You can max 2 dilemma per round. It's a revelation. You must decide, choose one. Place 1 doom on the current agenda. Each investigator heals 3 damage and 3 horror. Remove 1 doom from the current agenda. Each investigator takes 1 direct damage and 1 direct horror. Remove Fickle Fortune from the game. I like this card. It's interesting.
That's so cool. I didn't realize that when you heal, it doesn't remove from the game. That's so. It's cool and
Oh, you're
also
right.
mean because that means you can
Huh.
place more Doom on the agenda. Um,
Yeah.
I
I
didn't.
like this card
Yeah,
actually a lot.
yeah. I think this is like if like you were like you can play one dilemma and one dilemma only. This is the one I'd play for like the end till the end of time.
Uh-huh.
I think the dilemma mechanic's kind of fun, um,
Hmm.
but this one is like, oh, that's a cool effect. Like removing
Yeah.
Doom from the agenda is cool. It's really cool
Right.
to do that.
Yeah, and I definitely don't. I definitely agree with Fantasy Flight that it should be a very. They need to carefully dilly out what cards
Yeah.
do that because it's a very dangerous mechanic. But I feel like this card almost feels like a treachery because I guess in part because it's interacting with like a game like a an encounter card mechanic.
Yeah.
A lot of the other ones are like you get resources or actions and like you decide how to spend them, and it's just sort of like I guess generic things. I like that this plays with the game and like you do get a good benefit of like removing the doom, but this is assuming you're not going to die because if it kills someone, then you won't have that option. You'll have to add a doom to heal everybody. And then it's like the encounter deck gets something out of this too. And I
Yeah.
like the idea that the encounter deck, if you're taking a dilemma card, it's almost like it has a revelation. So the encounter deck should be very interested in what that card is doing. And I mean, there is other ones too where it's like enemies move and stuff, but I guess it's hard to conceptualize what that's going to look like. Whereas this, like, it just seems like it will always be an interesting outcome. Either you're going to get a free turn, or you're going to and take a little bit of punishment and like risk your future
Yeah.
scenario chances, or you're going to have to bite the bullet and heal up, and you can keep playing, but for how much longer?
Yeah. No, I think this is such an interesting card. I'm just like, also like 3 and 3. It's not 3 and or 3 or 3. It's or any combination
It's a
thereof.
lot.
It's a lot of healing on every investigator. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
honestly worth the doom. Like,
Yeah, well, and think of the encounter deck's perspective. They'd be happy with that. It's like, psh, you can heal up. Like, I'm getting closer to advancing the agenda. We're almost done.
yeah. But like if you're ahead, but you're just like kind of burning
Yeah,
because you're ahead, like
right,
what you do when you're playing like a rogue or a survivor, like burning the candle at both ends to just try and outpace the encounter deck. This is a card that lets
right.
you continue to outpace the encounter deck, give it a little bit of leeway, but actionlessly just like get enough
Yeah.
steam to make it to the end of the agenda too, or the end of the act deck first.
We've actually played. Do you remember our? It was off camera when we played. We did a Calvin and Agnes team, and they were fast.
Yeah,
They were so fast. We were clearing scenarios with like 2 or 3 agendas left. I'm not even kidding. It was unbelievable how quick the two of them were. This would be a fun card to play in that team or any team that's like going very very quickly
sorry,
because
sorry. Playing this in Calvin is hilarious.
yeah, I know, right?
Oh my
You're
god,
just like,
there's one option in Calvin that's clearly better than the other option.
right. Or like you're gonna reach the point where it's just necessary for you to choose one option.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just interesting to think about like if you're a speedy deck because I feel like recently too when we play quickly, I have noticed that it seems like we take more punishment in a weird way
Yeah,
because you don't like allocate like you don't spend enough time to prepare and counter things. You just kind of go, and that can come back to bite you. So I like the idea that you can lean into this with that card.
yeah. It's a cool card. I really like this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
I have a very needy dog.
that's understandable. Mine was in here earlier sniffing around, so he's probably been recorded. We have one more set of cards to look at, and those are the rogue cards. And
Okay.
I'll read these out, but know before I do that I'm uninterested in both of these cards.
Okay.
So, Triggerman is a level 3 4 cost ally criminal asset that takes up the ally slot. Has the 2 effects. The first is a reaction when Trigger or after Triggerman enters play. Attach an illicit asset from your hand to Triggerman. It is considered to be in play and under your control. And a lightning bolt, exhaust Triggerman and spend 1 resource. Resolve an action ability on attached asset without paying its action cost. Resolve the ability with the base skill value of 4. And he soaks for 2. Oh God, what
Two
is
and one.
2 and 1? But what's the so it's sanity and
Health and sanity.
is it health? Okay, I can't remember the word
Mhm.
health apparently.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying really hard to use the correct words for those values, and I wanted to say vitality and sanity, and I was like, that's not right. That's a different mechanic somewhere else in a different game. Yeah, what do you think of Triggerman?
He seems overcosted at first glance, but like you get to play like a big weapon for free because you attach something from your hand. So like imagine if you had, I don't know, like a Thompson or something. You don't spend any of the money for that. You just attach it right to him. And then I guess you have to spend the money to activate Trigger Man. But then
Yeah.
you get to take the action for free. So and it's still considered in play under your control, so you don't have to pay it through him. So that sounds pretty nice.
I don't know. I'm not sold on this guy. Like, I'm just really not. Like, so okay,
I've
just to clarify,
Good.
do the assets that are attached to him still take up like your hand slots?
Attach it to Trigger Man. It is considered to be in play and under your
I
control.
think they do, right? So like he would be holding your Thompson, but you would also be holding your Thompson. It doesn't say they take up no hand slots.
I don't know. I think you're right though, because usually the text specifies that it
Yeah.
changes like its slots usage. So yeah, probably.
And then like the other thing that sucks about this, because this is not a mystic card and is a rogue card, is if Triggerman dies, you lose that asset.
Well, why is he dying?
I don't know, like
No, you're right.
you drew a rotting remains and you're a rogue and you
I'm
have
just I'm just
one
giving you a hard
willpower, and
time.
you're just like, well, shit. I guess now instead of going insane, I'm just gonna lose my weapon, and everyone's on their own. I'm gonna go over. I guess that's pretty roguelike, though.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I don't like about this card is that it was released in the Scarlet Keys cycle. He should have been released in like Carcosa or Forgotten Age, where he would have seen more play and
Yeah.
would have like factored into our decision making. As it stands now, I feel like rogues just have so many other great allies to choose from. You got Leo DeLuca, you got Lola Santiago, you got
Yeah,
Delilah
he's
O'Rourke.
got a lot to compete with.
Yeah, and I
This
just
trigger
feel
man.
like even Chuck and the new Joey the Rat, like even those cards are great. So I just don't understand like how he's being competitive when he doesn't give you any kind of stat boost. He helps you save actions, but you have to pay for it. I mean, why don't you just spend two more resources and way less experience, or one more resource and way less experience, and you could play Leo DeLuca. You'd have more soak. You get an extra action every turn.
I mean, I do see what you're saying about like you get to play the asset that you attach to him for free.
Hmm.
That's good. I get that, but
That's cool.
he costs four, and like that means I want to play this with like a big gun, which means that
Right.
it's gonna take up two hands, which means that if he dies, I now have no big gun. I don't know. Like that's the. There's just a little bit like if he had like one bigger number in his sanity or one smaller number on his cost somewhere, I feel like I'd be more okay with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
level three is an awkward place for a rogue ally because then you have to be like, is this better for me than Delilah or Rourke or Lola Santiago or Tristan Botley?
Yeah. I think he should have been 2 XP because then Leo could have taken him, and I think Leo would
Right?
actually be interested because
Yeah.
you could play him in for an extra or save a resource, and then you put him down as a bonus action, and you get your weapon on top of that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Last
That'd be
week
awesome.
we talked about how you were upset that Guard Dog 2 could not be played in Daniela. This is my Guard Dog 2 in Daniela, but for Leo
Okay.
Anderson with Triggerman. Like
Yeah,
this feels like a Leo Anderson
totally with you.
card. And
Yeah,
I like and Leo Anderson's like the only rogue-ish investigator that wants to be playing non-unique allies, right? Like,
right. And also big guns, so he wants all of the things that this guy
yeah.
does. Yeah,
It's a damn
this.
shame.
Yeah, yes. I agree with you. I'm totally on that camp. I mean, I like the effect of the cards. I like what it does. I think it's an interesting design space. I just think he's just he's just not costed correctly
Yeah.
because again, like you have the fact that you have to pay him to take the bonus action means you don't actually save the resources. So like it
Yeah.
is worth it to just play
Well,
Leo
I
because
mean,
Leo,
at that
you
point, I'm
know,
a little bit like, that's okay because it's a fast action at that point, right? Like you get to, and like fast actions let you do some kooky things. Like, and it doesn't
yeah,
have to be like an actual gun that he's holding the trigger with you for. It can be like lockpicks or
sure,
something, and then you can fast investigate with lockpicks if you're flexing. Like that's kind of cool.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You could also just have four actions every turn, and then doesn't matter that it's fast or not fast. It's just you investigate. I
Well,
mean, I get what you're saying because if you're
yeah,
using like Alice Luxley, you could use lockpicks and then Alice Luxley to like ping an enemy
that's
and
engaged
without
with
having to
you.
take an
Yeah,
attack. Yeah, without an attack of
but
opportunity.
that's a
Like I
Leo
get it. I
thing
see it
and
there.
or a Leo Anderson thing, and you still can't do that with like okay. Get off my Leo
I mean,
Anderson.
can you do it with Skids? Does he care about this guy?
I mean, there's not a. I mean, I guess you could take like the Chicago typewriter or the Green Thompson and maybe make those work. Or the Beretta.
Yeah, the Beretta. Uh-huh.
But Skids wants money
What?
for other reasons, right? Like Skids wants money to take This is cheaper than Skids' ability to take actions for additional actions. So maybe this is a Skids card. Maybe that's it. Actually.
I mean, he does have to spend the four resources up front, which he could have
Yeah.
just used to take two
Two
extra
actions. Yeah.
actions. So, I mean, but maybe there's
Maybe.
something there.
Maybe.
I feel like Skids has been cracked ever since we've gotten like Rambo Skids
There's a
and like
Rambo
Neo Skids,
Skids.
which, well, I think that's what it was called, but it was actually almost identical to the Skids deck I played with you before we went live for the show. He had like two decks or two cards that were different, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. He was basically using hunting knife in order to and stealth to disengage from enemies, and then when he
Oh.
re-engages them, he knifes them. Which was almost exactly what I was doing. I wasn't doing that exactly though. I had Alice Lexley, and I was doing things like dodge, and I can't remember everything now, but I saved the deck because I really liked it,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed
That
playing
was a cool
Skids that
deck.
way. And to me, that is the way Skids is meant to be played, and it took us so long to get there, but we found it. We found the deck for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So maybe we add this to that deck, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, clean sneak.
Clean Sneak is a level 4 event that costs no resources and commits for two foot symbols. Um, it is a gambit and trick traded event. It's fast, play only during your turn. For each exhausted non swarm enemy at your location, choose a different option. Either gain 2 resources, deal 2 damage to that enemy, discover one clue at your location, or draw 1 card. It's fine!
If I only have one enemy, I just get two resources for a 4 XP card.
Or you could deal 2 damage to that enemy, or you could discover one clue at your location, or you could draw 1 card, right? Like, you need. I think this is the problem I have with it. This is a faded card without it telling you it's a faded card. You want to play this as like your last action after you've just evaded everyone.
Yeah.
Because you want to get
Okay.
3 of these. I think 2 of these is like probably what you'd expect to get most of the time. I think ideally, I think like in order for it to feel good, you want to get 3. I don't think you'll ever get
Yeah.
4 because that means you have 4 enemies that are sitting around and you spent an entire turn evading enemies to get this effect.
Well, maybe you play this with Preston and then you throw a turkey at them.
It's not illicit,
And
so that's maybe there's something there, but it's at your location. I don't know.
right?
Like if it was like I think like if it didn't have at your location, like if it was for each exhausted non-swarm enemy in play, then I'd feel a lot better about this. But the fact is, it's at your location.
This just feels like I don't know. Like this is awful in solo. Don't ever take it in solo.
If you
I mean,
if you're at a place where you want to play this in solo, oh boy, you're in trouble.
the one thing I will say is that like it's not quite as bad as maybe it sounds because if you look at sneak attack, sneak attack costs you 2 resources and it's deal 2 damage to an enemy, an exhaust enemy at your location. If you spend 2 XP, it's the same effect, except the enemy can't be. It just has to not be engaged with you.
Hmm.
So either way, you got to find a way to get this enemy off of you. This would then cost 0 resources to deal 2 damage, and it's fast. So it essentially, for 2 more XP than the sneak attack, you would be gaining a fast and saving 2 resources. So like, at face value,
But no, it's a level 4 card. It has to be good.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just saying that like
You're
mathematically,
comparing it. I
that
mean,
that
like,
does add
yeah, yeah,
up.
yeah. I see what you're saying. Mathematically, sure,
But you
fine.
also get other options. You don't even have to do a sneak attack. You could just do other things, so it has more versatility. I mean, I still don't think it's good. Like 4 XP for 1 clue, like give me a break. But like you see where they were
So,
kind of were like, okay, this does make sense
so,
somehow.
sort of, but like level 2 sneak attack, you don't have to like. It can just be engaged with someone else, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so much more flexible when you can use that card. Level 0 sneak attack does the thing I want this card to, like, the thing that I'm most excited about with this card for 2 resources more, but it's a level 0 card. And
Hmm.
like that's, I don't know. I think like there's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I don't know how to make this card where I would play it.
I
Like
think the numbers are
maybe,
just too freaking low. What
yeah,
is this? 2 resources and 1 card, 1 clue, 2 damage. That's it. Like,
yeah.
geez,
Like
why so
honestly,
stingy?
if it was
Give me something.
if it was like, actually, even if you just bumped the resources and cards up one, right? If it was 3 resources
Yeah,
or 2 cards, I might
that's not bad.
I might play with that. I might, because then I might play that on like a 2 exhausted enemies thing where it's like I evaded 2 enemies and then I was like, cool, I'll draw 2 cards and deal 2 damage to one of those enemies, knocking it out, so I only have to deal with one next turn.
Yeah, that
That
sounds
sounds
great.
good.
That
That
sounds
sounds
like
good.
a
That sounds
yeah.
like
That
appropriately
sounds awesome.
leveled for a level 4 card. Um,
Right.
or if I
You
need the
get
money, I get the
two
money. Yeah.
decent. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it doesn't say that, so it's trash.
Right? Yeah. It's just like, I think you want to be able to play it at 2 because like 2, if it doesn't feel good to play it at 2, I feel like this card is overcosted, and I don't
Yeah,
think it feels good to play it at 2.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think it doesn't feel good as 2. I think I don't like how low the numbers are because every time I look at the effects list, I'm just like, I don't really want any of them because it's just such a weak, like, draw 1 card. So I just replace this.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Exactly. It's
Why
just,
did it even bother?
yeah. Why it, if you take that one, yeah, exactly. Why did I bother taking this card? Like, unless it's like the third thing you're doing, right? Like at that point, sure, it did 2 other things and it's giving me a
Well,
card back. That's fine.
yeah, yeah, sure. The smattering of stuff I don't mind. It's like I'm a rogue. Like 2 resources, that's the best you can do.
For a
Like,
level
geez,
4
I could get
card,
two.
yeah.
I could get like 3. I could get 2 resources off of the other card we saw last pack with the Thieves Kit. It's like for less XP, I could get 2 resources every turn. Like theoretically, yeah, maybe I don't get it every time, but
Yeah.
it's just like
There's
what?
just, yeah, I think there's just a
So I
little
don't
bit
know. It's
there,
just too weak.
there's a little bit too much that's restrictive. Like if it wasn't just at your location, or if it wasn't, choose a different option. If you could use this as like, hey, there's 2 enemies that are at my location that are exhausted. I'm gonna deal each of them 2 damage instead of having to
Yeah,
choose. Yeah,
that would be fine. Yeah, because that's a good like. Oh, this is a combat solution for me
yeah,
where I just pop 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 and like maybe it
yeah,
kills one, the other one doesn't die, but at least he's set up for next round,
yeah.
and I don't need to worry about him
And
now.
then I can pull out my coup de
So
grace and deal 1 damage to
yeah,
him.
right, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like it's a little bit not enough. And like if it would have pushed it to
Yeah.
level 5 to have those numbers bigger, like, or have those restrictions a little less restrictive,
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
I'd rather have this as a better card at level 5 than a worse card at level 4.
yeah, I agreed. Yeah, I think I would be fine paying 5 XP for something that does three
More.
resources and two cards, or you know, like you said, you could pop the same effect multiple times.
Yeah.
Where did they associate one card with one clue? How is that equivalent? Like what? It's insane.
I don't know. Maybe the other card is
Even
working a
if you popped
hunch.
all four, that's really not that great. That's just
I
like
think popping all four
refunding the
would.
things.
No, I think popping all four would feel really good. I think the opportunity cost to get to a place where you can pop all four is stupid. And it means
Yeah.
you have four enemies on the board that you're not dealing with, except maybe one of them.
And they all have to be exhausted. Why can't they just be on the table? Because then you could play it, draw more cards, and get resources to do your other effects
Or
and
yeah,
play with
just
them.
not engaged with you, right? Well, that no, actually, that's
Yeah,
maybe too much because then if you're like the clover and someone,
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of see the reasoning. I just think the numbers are too low. I think it's just a little bit. I don't know, a little
It
bit.
clearly has problems. Card has issues. Needs to be fixed.
Needs to be fixed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this and
Mm.
also like if it was a level 3 card, maybe that would be enough. But yeah, I just don't click.
Well, but the thing is, like, the payoff effect isn't very strong, so it's not very attractive, is the problem.
So I
So
think
I'm more inclined with the 5 XP.
I think the design ethos of this card is not that any one effect should be good. It's that you're trying to get the payoff of multiple effects to proc, right? And I think
Yeah,
with that in mind, you should feel good getting to because that's how many enemies that you would probably feel comfortable with having on the board at a time. Like any more than that, well, I guess you do like the handcuffs thing. Just bring handcuffs to sneak by your hand.
handcuffs is now better.
I
Okay,
guess
so the reason why okay.
skids with this card. Yeah,
Skids with handcuffs and trigger hand. Okay, maybe.
there you go.
I think for me though, like, so I don't like. It feels like the card is non-committal. I I don't mind that I get the choice. That's kind of cool, but like it feels like I'm taking things because I can. Like, well,
Yeah,
like if even if I had four, I would be like, all right, well, I
yeah,
did the 2 damage and I killed one. Cool, that's the one I cared about. And then like, well, I guess I'll get a clue. Like, I don't super need it.
yeah,
Like, the Clover can handle that. And like, I guess I'll draw a card. And like, I guess I'll get 2 resources. But I didn't really need any of those things, so that doesn't feel like a great like, ooh, yeah. It doesn't like excite me. It's more like that's why, like, if I could repeat the 2 damage effect, I'm like, cool. Let me just evade everything and then bam, and just
yeah.
pop everybody two
And
damage.
like
That's awesome.
that's not even that crazy because like
It's
Dynamite
not
Blast level 3 exists and you can pop tons of damage to
right,
non-exhausted enemies at a location that you're not at.
right.
I get.
Yeah, or I discover clues. I take 4 clues off my location. I just clear
Yeah,
the location
yeah,
and then I ditch. It's like that's awesome. You know,
yeah, yeah.
you refill up like any of them just repeated would be cool. But yeah, ugh, it's yeah, I don't want to look at it.
All right. Well, you don't have to anymore because that's all the cards in Scarlet Keys. We're all done. We did them all.
We made it.
Sorry that rogues were kind of a bummer at the end there, but we're done, and you don't have to look at them anymore. I can. Here, let's just. I don't know. Let's just go back to. We'll go back to Survivor cards. We liked this slide. Thank you everyone for watching. If you made it this far, we'll be probably finishing off Scarlet Keys if we haven't already next week, and after that, well, you'll be seeing like
It'll be
our
our
retrospective and what happens next, which we know that you don't yet.
yeah. So, until then,
Stay out of danger.